Hello and welcome to the Real Sim Accessories Essential Software video series. This video is going to cover the Virtual Racing School application and its use with iRacing and sort of how to get the software installed on your computer that you need so that your telemetry is being uploaded to Virtual Racing School and you can use it from there. So Virtual Racing School is essentially a telemetry logging service. It's all web-based, but needs a little bit of software running on your computer so that your telemetry files that are created by iRacing can be uploaded into the web service at Virtual Racing School, and then from there you can use their website to look at your telemetry, review your laps and compare your laps and your telemetry data with your teammates. They've just introduced a priced model for this, which means that you can only analyse data for 4 hours per week for free. So it kind of tends to dwindle away pretty quickly, but it's still quite handy to use as a free service. So, so their website is virtualracingschool.appspot.com, as you can see here. So when you come to the site, you can only do an SSO sign-in with either Google or Facebook. So you just sign in with the service of your choice. And then if you've already been into the system before, it'll come up like this, and it'll show you the data that you've got sitting here. So you can see that the last driving that I did was in the Dallara at Daytona, I think it was. Yep. And yeah, so you can just drill into whatever particular one you want there. You can see some details about the different sessions, so then you can drill in further to the sessions from there, and then you can analyse the session from there. And this will allow you then to have a look at a couple of laps overlaid against each other. So if we just select a lap here, we'll find something just to come in with. And you should see this populate in a second. Maybe I'm not. Letting it work. Yeah, so I may have just been getting a bit click happy. Yes, so you can see the sectors up there now. So I'll show you a track map here. You've got the full track there, and then you can drill down into the various sectors just by clicking on them, and it'll show you whether, you know, what the difference is in the delta between each sector for both of the laps. So you can see here I'm pretty even on both of these in terms of being whether the laps were slower or faster than each other. If you hit this button, you'll actually sort it into your fastest to your slowest, or vice versa. Yeah, so as you can see your tracking here for a bunch of different telemetry and data. So you can actually hit play down here, and it'll start driving around the course. And you can follow this as you go and see your outputs and things. You can slow it down as well if you like, so that you get a lot more detail on what's happening with the telemetry as you go through corners. This is particularly nice if you drill into a particular sector and you want to have a nice, good, slow look at it. Then you can go through and do it. It plays the data a lot nicer. So that's basically the interface. Now, to get your data up there, I might just mention firstly, before I go to that, is that you'll see these target laps here that you can actually go and pay for this data and compare it to yourself so that you can improve. But to get your data up there, you can also upload other files after this has gone up, view the session in iRacing, link to YouTube. You can do all sorts of cool stuff in here. But anyhow, if we go to our name here and the telemetry logger, okay, this is where we need to go to download the software. So this is what you need to do when you first, after you've first signed up. So you can see obviously the video there that will give you a hand as well if you need it. But if we download that telemetry logger there and save that, this one's very straightforward. And then we just run this. It's just a quick little installer, and it installs directly to the system tray. So in our settings here, we can set our network proxy if we use one, and we'll see repositories here for updates, which I've never had to touch. So we just next, and I'd always use the default location. It does install per user, so another user would need to install it for themselves. Next, and just away we go. So this will download a few bits and pieces that it needs for the application before it installs them, as you can see there. Okay, and then if we run it when it finishes, we'll just get a very basic little wizard here that takes us through getting everything up and running. So next, it's actually token based. You don't have to give it any credentials as far as I recall. Okay, so it just redirects you to a login if it doesn't know. So you just do your login again and pair it, and that's basically it. And you'll see it changes once it's authenticated the token, and that's it, the agent's running. So from there you could happily go into iRacing and you could start to generate telemetry, and you'll see this log will start filling up with files, which we might show in a second if I can do it. But there's a couple of settings first that I'd recommend you probably play with. So the first one would be to back up your telemetry files. This one here is particular note, allow VRS to slice your iRacing disk telemetry. If you're using something like the Z1 analyzer as well, you definitely need to uncheck this. However, if you're only using VRS to analyse your telemetry, then you're much better off to tick this, and that actually lets VRS upload the files a lot, the telemetry a lot quicker by slicing the session files apart. So you'll actually start to see your data there in a matter of moments as the laps complete, rather than once you exit out of the sim. So yeah, just be mindful of that though. If you're using Z1 Analyzer and you check this, or some other analyzer tool that looks at the files on the computer, then this will break it if you check this box. I also normally not have this one set because it creates a massive amount of setup files. It's up to you though. That's what that one does, it saves the setup every time you change. This one's quite handy if you're racing ovals. You can do this to clear your optimum and best laps before each session. So you sort of get per session files for that. I haven't found that as handy for road courses though. And the high-res damper data would be handy, but it's not really essential. Yeah, and then obviously just to run it when it starts up, which we'd recommend, so that you're not having to think to load it up every time. So you've also got some upload settings here, which I'd recommend that you limit your upload to 20K, or maybe even less if you're on if you're on an ADSL or ADSL2 connection. You may even want to go a little bit lower than that, maybe down to 10K. And I'd probably turn this on for 40K if you're on ADSL. So if you upload the setup data, you get your setup file put into the sessions on the site, which is handy. You can download them again, of course. Your O-lap and B-lap times go up, so you can compare them later as well, and you can put your replay up if you want. There's a limit here on the replays, which I don't like to have ticked, but it seems to not want to untick that setting. So, yeah, I mean, that's it. It's pretty basic, but that's basically, ready to go and upload for me now. So actually, if we go and have a look at the logger in action. Actually, I've got no controllers set up on this machine, so I'm not going to be able to do that anyway. Yeah, when you start driving, you'll start to see the logs coming through where it's uploading the files, and you'll be able to see the corresponding files obviously coming up under your under your driving stats here. So that's the basics of virtual racing school. So I hope you've found this informative. I know I've probably yabbered on a little bit, but I hope that you found this informative and useful. And if you have any suggestions for any content that you'd like to see posted or any issues that you're having, you can contact us via our website at simbits4u.com.au. That's SIMBITS, the number 4 and the letter u.com.au. Or via our Facebook page, Real Sim Accessories, or also via our email address, which is inquiries@simbits4u.com.au. Thanks for your time. I hope you found this enjoyable and informative, and have a great time enjoying virtual racing school.